Hello again, Posh Partners, and welcome to Patricia's Posh Life. So today, as you can tell, I'm wearing my glasses because I have a few things and a few notes around that I want to talk about. A new thing that I'm doing, and I'm very, very excited about it. One thing that I'm going to be doing is I am going to be visiting various locations for business, for personal, for coffee, for travel, you whatever you name it. And I am going to start grading places on Posh Points. So I talked this over with a few of my people who are already following me on this channel, and my very humble and gracious thanks for doing that and supporting me, and kisses to all of you who have sent me such very sweet and nice comments. I really do appreciate them. Um, so, like I said, I'm going to start the Posh Points because I am such a big fan of YouTube. I really am. I love people that go and travel and tell me what their experience was like. And it really does sometimes save me from having to live through a really horrible experience, and lets me be prepared when I go to a place and know, hey, this place doesn't have parking, or, just all of those things that you run into when you travel. And so I wanted to get into a little bit about that. But first of all, I just want to say one of the things that I love about YouTube is some of the content creators that are out there who create a scale. So for me, um, a scale is so helpful to know where on kind of on the spectrum that you expect things to be. It tells me a lot about the content creator and their perspective, because some content creators focus a lot on price or value for the money. And, when they go to a high end luxury place and they'll say, oh, this suite is $10,000, and, is it really worth it? So, being married to a behavior expert, I'm really lucky because it kind of helps me identify a little bit about what type of background that this content creator has and what is or is not important to them. But for those of you content creators out there on YouTube and Insta, as my husband calls it, bless his heart, TikTok, all you guys out there that are giving me a scale to work with, thank you. It just helps me put things in perspective. And whether that's my perspective as being an older person from a different day and age versus a Gen Zer, it just really does help me so much to temper my expectations when I use your scales when I'm out doing my own posh experiences. So thanks, fellow content creators on YouTube. So what's Posh Points all about? What is that? Like, who cares, right? So I just wanted to create something that was based on a conversation that my husband and I were having the other day, which was, what really is being posh? So most people think that being posh is um, having a lot of money, first of all, wearing designer clothes, carrying designer purses, being at all the right hip happening places, and Milan and Paris and Fashion Week and all that kind of stuff. And it was my goal to bring a different definition of what posh to me, what it means to me. And for me, as I've said on several videos, being posh is not necessarily about the clothes you wear, the jewelry you have, the 5-star accommodations, the G5 plane, whatever, blah, 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 right? I, I'm not an influencer who's going to change my background to make you think that I'm sitting on a private plane when I'm just sitting in my office. That's just not real, and it's not authentic, and that's not who I am. what I wanted to do was bring some Posh Points and give you a scale to help grade your own experiences. So let's go over Posh Points. So the first thing that when I go into a place or I am trying to have an experience is I look at service. Service is very important to me. And especially coming from the world that I've come from, sales, client experiences, event management, all of those places where you're working so hard to give people an experience and a memory that they will never forget. It's really a wonderful opportunity, right? And it's really exciting and fun if you're working with the right people. Um, so that service is number one on Posh Points, right? And I may tweak my Posh Points. I'm a woman. I have the right to change my mind in the future. But for right now, uh, Posh Points is going to be service. Second thing is going to be ambiance, as the French say, or us little Southern girls say. What's it feel like when you go somewhere, right? So ambiance to me is not just for fancy places. Ambiance is the music too loud? Is the music not the right kind of music and it agitates you? Is it a place where you can go and have a quiet conversation with your spouse or your boyfriend or girlfriend and you can create a great memory? Like I'm getting ready to talk about a place here in a moment. Like my husband and I did last weekend so unexpectedly, and put a few things on my Instagram about it. And I want to talk about that in a second because they were definitely up on the Posh Points scale. And then the last thing is experience. So when you're going to a place, even if it's someone's house for dinner, for drinks, for whatever, for tea. What is your experience when you go to someone else's house? So I see a lot of people doing all these videos, and it's all about, kind of, well, we're going to go to a hotel and we're going to go to this club or we're going to go to this restaurant. But I wanted to bring a little bit of a different perspective and say, let's apply Posh Points to our own homes, right? So, just a couple of things that I do to boost my own Posh Points when people come to see me or I go visit someone else. So, number one for me is I use flowers. And I've talked a tiny bit about this in some of my previous videos, but most everyone loves flowers. And I'm even including men. So men may not talk about flowers, but they do notice flowers. And they do notice that it kind of softens everything and it takes things up to a different level, which is really nice because you can use flowers to do to bring an element of elegance and classiness for not a lot of money, really and truly. So, I wanted to give you two tips that I use personally. So, I am very lucky that I have two supermarket chains that are close to my home. And one of them, when the flowers have a tendency to start getting a little brown on one or two of the petals, they will put those flowers right into the sale bucket. And I can save a ton of money because I know when I bring those flowers home, I'm going to put them in a vase and I'm going to peel off and trim everything anyway to fit my vase. So I don't really care if they have a few, brown things here or there. Now, of course, you don't want to buy anything super wilted or anything that looks awful, but mix and match. I even love the funky little, multicolored daisies and just, they're fun and cute and very unexpected. And so that's one thing that I do is I bring those home. I get a beautiful vase, and it could be something like a mason jar. It could be a fine cut piece of crystal. It could be silver. You name it. It just depends on the kind of the mood I'm in, and what I'm doing and what kind of event I'm having at my home. And I trim off the bottom. I fill up the container with water and Dawn dishwashing detergent. Why do I do that? Because it actually extends the life of the flowers. So trim off the spots that aren't really great looking. And now, even if you buy a brand new bouquet of flowers, you're probably going to have a few spots on there anyway, that are not going to look so great. So if you're doing something like buying a dozen roses and it's just literally the roses themselves, buy a few bits of greenery, buy a few old school, since the 80s, like everybody got sent flowers, a dozen roses, and baby's breath. It's tried and true. It works. It's cheap and it looks great, right? Stick that baby stick. So stick your greenery in first, and then stick your baby's breath, and then place the flowers and trim them different lengths. Um, so that's one trick. Second trick is, and men, don't be mad at me. So bless your hearts, as we say in the South. I see so many men, young men, older men. I love it that you're buying flowers for someone, even yourself, right? And so, one of the tricks that I've always done is that you really don't want to present someone flowers when you've gone to the trouble of purchasing these flowers and going to the store and doing everything that you're doing. And it may be spontaneous, spur of the moment. Oh, my wife is so great, I'm just going to get her a little something. Or my daughter had a rough week in high school. I'm just going to get her a little bouquet. And I do recommend that not only do you give flowers to your wife, but your children too, because it makes especially little girls feel super special. Um, Before you go to the checkout, ask the clerk in the flower department at the grocery store. We're not talking about fancy dancy florists here. Just say, hey, listen, could you do me a favor? Could you take the plastic off and wrap the flowers in tissue paper and put a ribbon around them? You would not believe, number one, no extra charge whatsoever. And number two, you just wouldn't believe what a different experience that is for the person that you're going to give those flowers to. Teeny tiny little tip that's so easy. And if there's no clerk there, there's always a little desk, there's always paper there. Lean over, grab yourself a piece of paper, tear the plastic off, fold the tissue paper into a triangle with the straight edge on the bottom, and wrap it one over the other. Lay the flowers down, wrap the paper over the top of it, grab a little ribbon really quick, tie a little bow, and don't forget to get one of those little cards. Right? So, in this day of electronics and all that kind of stuff, the handwritten touch is so important because we just don't get it anymore. And we as humans crave that handwritten human. It's almost like somebody puts a hug on a piece of paper and hands it to you. So ditch that plastic, wrap it in tissue, and take your flowers to your special someone. And I promise you that your Posh Points are going to go way up in their eyes. And so I also wanted to talk about, let me get this out. So In one of my recent videos, I talked about handwritten notes. And I talked about what a great experience it was for me. And I'm gonna hold my hand over some of this. So this was a note I received from a young man, Gen Z person. And he had his initials. I'm going to flash that really quick. He had his own stationery, wrote me a handwritten note. And so for the rest of my life, this guy is top of my Posh Points, right? He gets experience, he gets gratitude, he gets appreciation. And for the rest of my life, and you know who you are, I will do everything in my power to help this young man because he gets it. He understands what really a posh life is all about. So I know I did a little bit of rambling today and I apologize for that, but I wanted to introduce Posh Points, but I also wanted to give you a few tips that you could upgrade your own Posh Points in your own life and in your own home. So, a few last tips. So, if you're going to someone's home and they are cooking dinner for you, or you're having entertainment around the grill, football game, it's getting to be that time here in the South, whatever it is, take your host or your hostess some flowers, even if it's a man. Um, it just signifies, first of all, your appreciation, your respect for them opening their home, and just it's a great way to break the ice when you're coming in and just, hey man, thanks for having us, appreciate it so much, been looking forward to it, and verbalize how the invitation made you feel. I'm so shocked at how many people come to my home and they walk in, and these are even family members, unfortunately, and they don't know what to do or to say. And there's this really awkward, weird thing that happens with people I haven't seen for a while, and they come in and they just kind of stand there like, what are we supposed to do now? You know? And we've lost that art of the small talk and just, kind of easing things into it. And, like I said in my video about having tea, music is a great way to up your Posh Points if you're having an event in your home. And so make it relaxing. Make don't necessarily make it your favorite music. Think about the other person and how it makes them feel. Think about their age. Think about what they may or may not like. I don't, quite frankly, want to go to somebody's home and have them play rap the entire time. That's not my idea of being posh. Um, and then, another thing too is flowers are a great way, because a lot of times, especially these days, people used to come to people's houses and they'd bring a bottle of wine, or, something alcoholic related. And these days, there's a lot of people, including myself, who do not consume alcohol in any form. And so we end up with this really awkward thing of, and it happens to us a lot when we go to hotels. When we go to luxury hotels, the general manager will put some stuff in our room and write us a really wonderful note, which we're so appreciative of and very thankful for. But they'll send us a bottle of champagne or they'll send us a bottle of wine, and we don't really drink. So flowers are just kind of a good way to get around some of the all of the you know weirdness about alcohol and inappropriateness or appropriateness or whatever you want to call that. So just think about your Posh Points and how you can up your Posh Points in your own life, in your own home, with your own friends and family and loved ones. It's a great thing to think about while you sit outside and have a cup of tea and take a few minutes to just breathe and think about how you want to create the posh life that you want. And that's what it's all about for me. But thanks for joining me again. Please like and subscribe. And please leave me your comments about my new Posh Points. I'm so excited. I cannot wait to travel. And I did not tell you my story. Oh my goodness. Let me do that real quick. We went this past weekend just driving around like us old people like to do. Um, and we stopped and had lunch at a little place, and it was lovely, and the people were really sweet. And then on the way back home, we stopped at a coffee shop. And from the moment we walked in the door until the moment we literally opened the doors of our car, we had the most wonderful experience. And on my Posh Point scale of 1 to 5, I'm going to give them a 5 for all areas, because even though it wasn't the poshest, most luxurious place in the world, they made me feel like I was the center of their world. They treated me like gold. We talked about the types of teas, how to brew it, how to carry it. Oh, maybe you might want to try this tea. Oh, I tell you what, if you've already ordered a cup of tea, let me do this. Let me brew this for you. Take it home hot, chill it in the refrigerator. They told me all about how to, consume the tea that I ordered when I got home, because I'd already ordered a cup of tea. And they were just amazing, just amazing. And it was Myth and Legend Coffee in Clarksville, Georgia. So Posh Points to them. And they're just fabulous, fabulous people. It was a really cool place because they had this little, what they call it, a snug in England, but it's just a little room, and it was kind of a library looking room, that it was just so unique and cool, and they had it decorated just really funky, and but almost, I don't even, maybe a little gothic. I don't even know how to describe it, but it was just cool, and I loved it. It looked like a Hollywood movie set. And they were just so wonderful. So Nate, Jacob, and Madison knocked it out of the park with the Posh Points on that one. I give you 5 stars, right? So anyway, thanks. Sorry for the detour there at the end, but thanks for watching. Thanks for liking and subscribing. And join me next time with Patricia's Posh Life.